This is Kendrick Akins, a 42-year-old man who tragically shot and killed his fiancée, Dominic Jefferson, a 34-year-old vibrant mother of three, just days after he proposed to her on New Year's Eve in 2019. The couple had been dating for about 3 months before the engagement. The proposal was recorded on Facebook Live, showing Akins kneeling down with a shirt that read, "Dominic, will you marry me?" On January 4th, 2020, an argument between the couple escalated outside their apartment complex on Holly View Drive in northwest Houston. Witnesses reported that during the altercation, Dominic Jefferson yelled, "Shoot me," and Kendrick Akins fatally shot her in the chest. Kendrick Akins fled the scene but turned himself in to the police about 12 hours later. He was charged with murder and attempted murder for shooting at the witness. In October 2020, Akins was convicted of murder and later sentenced to life in prison. During the sentencing, he reportedly passed out and had a seizure in the courtroom. Dominic Jefferson's family and community held a vigil to honor her memory, releasing balloons and singing happy birthday to her mother, who was also celebrating her birthday that day. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comment section where you are watching from. We love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you will never miss any of our upcoming new videos. Dominic Jefferson was born on January 17, 1986 in Houston, Texas. She was a dedicated mother of 3 young children who were her world. Dominic's family described her as a hard-working and caring individual who always put others before herself. Her sister, Charmone Onyeje, remembered her as someone who would do anything for her family and friends. Dominic Jefferson was cherished by community for her kindness and generosity. Her mother recalled her as the man of her dreams when she first met Kendrick Akins, showing how much she trusted and loved those around her. Despite her busy life as a mother, Dominic Jefferson was known for her warmth and ability to bring people together. Her children were her greatest joy, and she spent countless hours ensuring they were happy and well cared for. Dominic Jefferson met Kendrick Akins just a few months before the tragic events unfolded. Their relationship began in the fall of 2019, and they quickly became close. Kendrick seemed like a charming and caring partner, which made Dominic's family initially believe he was the right person for her. They had been dating for about 3 months when Kendrick proposed to Dominic on New Year's Eve in a romantic gesture captured on Facebook Live. During their courtship, Kendrick presented himself as a loving and attentive partner. On New Year's Eve, Kendrick Akins planned a romantic proposal for Dominic Jefferson. He wore a shirt with the message, "Dominic, will you marry me?" and got down on one knee. The moment was captured on Facebook Live, showing Kendrick's excitement and Dominic's surprise. The video spread quickly among their friends and family, who were thrilled to see the couple so happy. Dominic's family was initially overjoyed by the news. They thought Kendrick was a good match for her and were excited about the upcoming wedding. However, some family members later admitted that they had reservations about Kendrick's past, but they didn't want to ruin the moment for Dominic. The proposal seemed like a dream come true for the couple, but beneath the surface, there were already signs of trouble brewing. Even before the proposal, there were subtle signs of trouble in Dominic and Kendrick's relationship. Some family members noticed that Kendrick had a controlling side, often wanting to know every move by Dominic Jefferson makes. He also had a history of violence, which he had kept hidden from Dominic's family. Dominic Jefferson, however, seemed to overlook these red flags, believing that Kendrick loved her and would change for the better. She was deeply in love and wanted to make the relationship work. Despite these early warning signs, the couple's relationship appeared strong on the surface, and many around them thought they were meant to be. In hindsight, these early signs of trouble were crucial indicators of what was to come. But at the time, they were dismissed as minor issues in an otherwise loving relationship. Little did anyone know, these red flags would eventually lead to a tragic outcome. The argument that led to the tragic shooting occurred on January 3, 2020, at the Holly View Apartments in northwest Houston. Dominic Jefferson and Kendrick Akins had been engaged for just a few days, but their happiness was short-lived. The tension began when Dominic Jefferson and a friend tried to leave the apartment complex, but her car wouldn't start. Kendrick Atkins attempted to fix the car, but Dominic Jefferson shouted at him to leave her and the vehicle alone. The argument escalated quickly, with both of them exchanging heated words. Witnesses reported that Dominic Jefferson even said, "Go ahead, shoot me," during the confrontation. Kendrick Atkins, fueled by anger, pulled out a gun and shot Dominic in the chest from just a few feet away. The shooting happened in the parking lot, and the sound of the gunshot sent shockwaves through the community. After shooting Dominic Jefferson, Kendrick Atkins fled the scene on foot. Witnesses reported that he initially left but then returned to confront a witness who was trying to help Dominic. After firing another shot in the direction of the witness, Kendrick fled again. This violent outburst marked the end of a relationship that had seemed so promising just days before. The argument over a car issue turned into a deadly confrontation, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. After the shooting, the police received emergency 911 call and immediately launched a full-scale investigation. Officers secured the crime scene at the Hollyview Apartments, collecting evidence and interviewing witnesses. The initial focus was on gathering as much information as possible to piece together the events leading up to Dominic's death. Detectives searched for surveillance footage from the apartment complex and nearby businesses, hoping to capture the moments before, during, and after the shooting. They also collected witness statements from residents who had seen or heard the altercation. About 12 hours later, Kendrick Atkins turned himself in to the police. He surrendered on the morning of January 4, 2020, and was taken into custody for questioning. Following his interrogation, Kendrick was arrested and charged with murder for the fatal shooting of his fiancé, Dominic Jefferson. Kendrick Atkins had a troubled past long before the tragic events involving Dominic Jefferson. He had a history of violence and crime, which included a conviction for aggravated assault against a family member in 2008. Additionally, Kendrick had been convicted of being a felon in possession of a weapon and possession of methamphetamine in 2015, for which he served time in prison. At the time of the shooting, Kendrick was on parole, indicating that he had not fully completed his sentence for his previous crimes. His past behavior showed a pattern of escalating violence, which ultimately led to the tragic death of Dominic Jefferson. Kendrick Atkins' history of abuse and violence was a warning sign that many missed, and it played a significant role in the events that unfolded on that fateful night. Dominic Jefferson's family was devastated by her sudden and tragic death. Her mother, Tina Hunter, was heartbroken, unable to understand how Kendrick Atkins could propose to her daughter one moment and kill her just days later. Tina recalled watching the proposal video on Facebook Live, thinking Dominic had finally found happiness. Instead, she described Kendrick's actions as a nightmare that shattered their lives. Dominic's sister, Charmone Onyeje, expressed her shock and grief, saying she had met Kendrick just weeks before the incident. She remembered him as appearing normal, but now sees him as a monster who could have walked away instead of taking her sister's life. The family struggled to come to terms with the loss, especially considering Kendrick's promises to love and care for Dominic. Tina Hunter emphasized the importance of women researching their partners' backgrounds, highlighting how unaware they were of Kendrick's past. She strongly condemned Kendrick's actions, stating he didn't deserve any leniency and should face the full consequences of his crime. The family's pain was compounded by the thought of Dominic Jefferson's 3 children growing up without their mother. On the evening of January 5, 2020, family and friends gathered for a vigil to honor the life of Dominic Jefferson. The event took place at her mother's apartment complex on South Kirkwood Drive in Southwest Houston. Dozens of loved ones came together, dressed in shades of purple, to celebrate Dominic's memory and show their support for her family. During the vigil, the community released balloons into the sky as a symbol of their love and respect for Dominic. The atmosphere was filled with both sadness and warmth as they remembered her kindness and generosity. The vigil also coincided with Dominic's mother, Tina Hunter's birthday, and the group sang Happy Birthday to her, a poignant moment amidst their grief. Dominic Jefferson's family expressed their gratitude for the community's support, acknowledging that they were struggling to cope with the unexpected loss. Her sister, Charmone Onyeje, vowed that Dominic's legacy would live on and that her children would be cared for. The vigil was a testament to the impact Dominic had on those around her and the community's commitment to standing by her family during this difficult time. During his initial court appearances, Kendrick requested protective custody due to threats he claimed to have received on Facebook. He believed that relatives of Dominic, who were also inmates at the Harris County Jail, might harm him. However, many felt that Kendrick did not deserve special protection, given the severity of his crimes. Kendrick's bond was initially set at $150,000, but was later increased to $999,999 for the murder charge and $250,000 for the aggravated assault charge. His request for protective custody highlighted the tension and fear surrounding his case, as well as the community's outrage over his actions. Kendrick's legal proceedings would eventually lead to a trial, where he would face justice for his crimes. As Kendrick Atkins prepared to face trial for the murder of his fiancé, Dominic Jefferson, both the prosecution and defense teams worked diligently to build their cases. The prosecution focused on presenting a strong case based on the evidence collected from the crime scene and witness statements. They aimed to prove that Kendrick's actions were premeditated and that he had a history of violence, which supported the charges against him. The prosecution also highlighted the severity of Kendrick's crimes, including the attempted assault on a witness who tried to intervene. Kendrick's defense team likely sought to challenge the prosecution's evidence and potentially raise questions about the circumstances surrounding the shooting. They might have argued that the events were not as clear-cut as they seemed, possibly suggesting that Kendrick acted in a moment of extreme emotional distress rather than with premeditation. However, specific details about Kendrick's defense strategy are not publicly available. The trial would ultimately determine Kendrick's fate, with the prosecution pushing for a severe sentence and the defense aiming to mitigate the charges. The outcome would depend on how effectively each side presented their case to the jury. On October 21, 2022, a Harris County jury found Kendrick Atkins guilty of murdering his fiancé, Dominic Jefferson. When the verdict was read, Kendrick's reaction was dramatic. He passed out and had a seizure in the courtroom. The judge postponed the sentencing phase until later. During the sentencing phase, the jury heard additional testimony before deciding on Kendrick's punishment. On November 9, 2022, the jury sentenced Kendrick to life in prison for his crimes. The verdict was also influenced by findings that Kendrick was a true habitual offender due to his previous violent crimes, including an aggravated assault against a woman and other offenses. Kendrick's sentencing marked the end of a long and emotional journey for Dominic's family, who finally saw justice served for her tragic death. The community and law enforcement officials welcomed the verdict, acknowledging that Kendrick's history of violence had finally been addressed. Dominic Jefferson's family faced unimaginable grief following her tragic death. Her mother, Tina Hunter, struggled to come to terms with the loss, especially since she had thought Kendrick Atkins was the man of her dreams for her daughter. The family's pain was compounded by the fact that Dominic left behind 3 young children who would now grow up without their mother. The community rallied around Dominic's family, offering support and condolences. However, the loss of a loving mother and family member was irreparable. Dominic's children would have to navigate their lives without the guidance and love of their mother, a challenge that would be difficult to overcome. Despite the pain, the family remained strong, determined to keep Dominic's memory alive and to ensure that her children were cared for and loved. The tragedy of her death left scars that would never fully heal. It was a painful reminder of how dangerous domestic violence could be. The people who loved Dominic hoped that sharing her story would help others recognize the warning signs before it was too late. Raising awareness is more important than ever. People need to recognize the warning signs: controlling behavior, sudden mood changes, isolation from family and friends, and threats of violence. Speaking up and seeking help can make a difference. Dominic Jefferson's life was taken too soon, but her story will not be forgotten. Her name lives on in the hearts of her children, family, and friends. She was a loving mother, a caring friend, and a woman who deserved so much more. While no amount of memorials or kind words can undo the trauma Dominic Jefferson's loved ones have endured, the impact of her life and the legacy of her love for her children will never be forgotten. The memory of Dominic Jefferson lives on, not in the darkness of her final hours, but in the warmth of the love she gave and the lives she touched. This case serves as a painful reminder of the hidden dangers that many face behind closed doors. Domestic violence is an insidious epidemic that affects countless individuals, often in silence. Dominic Jefferson's story is one of many that highlights the terrifying reality of domestic abuse, the control, the isolation, and the eventual, often fatal consequences when help is not sought in time. We encourage you to be aware of the signs of domestic abuse. If you notice someone withdrawing from their social circle, showing signs of fear, or displaying unexplained injuries, it is crucial to step in, offer support, and encourage them to seek professional help. Domestic violence thrives in secrecy, but when the community speaks out, when friends, family, and co-workers stand together to help those in need, we can begin to break the cycle of abuse. Dominic Jefferson's tragic story is a call to action, a reminder that we must stand up against domestic violence and support those who are suffering in silence. Let her memory inspire us to make the world a safer place, where no one has to endure the pain and fear that Dominic Jefferson did. To Dominic Jefferson's 3 children, friends, and loved ones, our deepest condolences. She did not deserve what happened to her. She should still be here for her children, living her life, chasing her dreams, and sharing her light with the world. May you continue to heal, and may you find peace in the midst of this unimaginable loss. Thanks for watching, and if you like stories like this, support our channel by subscribing and turning on the notification bell icon so that you will be notified whenever we release new videos like this.